Okay, guys, let's look at the third student task statement called winter temperatures. One winter day, the temperature in Houston is 8 degrees Celsius. Find the temperatures in these other cities. Explain or show your reasoning. So it's have like 5 questions, and it says in Orlando, it is 10 degrees warmer than it is in Houston. All right. So I want to reference back to the last problem we did. Okay, before I dive into these questions so you guys could really understand how to add and subtract these negative numbers. Okay, if you notice that adding negative 20 to 30 is the same as, and I'm going to write this down, 30 minus 20, okay? Adding negative 20 plus 35 is the same as saying 35 minus 20, correct? You still would get 10, you still would get 15. However, when we add numbers with the same sign, we will add them like regular, but just keep the sign. So 20 plus 15 is 35, but they're both negative, so it would be a negative 35, okay? Because they're technically going in the same direction. So let's look at this, all right? We're starting off at 8 degrees Celsius, okay? So that is my starting point for each one. So if you have your book, you put 8 plus 8 plus 8 for each question. Okay? Now, question 5 is already saying write an addition statement, but hey, we already getting it started. We got to be 1 foot ahead. So remember, when it got warmer, we went in the right direction. And when you go in the right direction, that means that it's a positive number. However, when you go in the left direction, it is a negative number. Okay? So, let's get started. So, it says it's 10 degrees warmer in Orlando, which means that we're adding a positive 10. So, since we're adding a positive 10 and they have the same sign, it will be 18 degrees Celsius in Orlando. Okay? So then in Salt Lake City, it is 8 degrees colder. Now, piggybacking from what I just had a brief discussion before, adding numbers with 2 different signs is the same as subtracting positive numbers. So 8 minus 8 would be 0. Therefore, 8 plus negative 8 would be 0. Now, if I had to compare this to 1, this would be the same as saying 40, which is this one, 40 plus negative 40 is equal to 0. Notice the length of those arrows. They're the same sign, same size, or the same length, and therefore they cancel each other out. Okay? So, 8 plus negative 8, and I want to put parentheses around that negative 8 so you guys don't get confused, but that cancels out and is 0. So then I have 8 plus negative 20. Now keep in mind that 8 plus negative 20 is almost like me saying 20 minus 8. 20 minus 8 is 12. But if this was on a number line, which arrow would be longer? Would the arrow that's representing the negative 20 be longer, or the arrow that's representing the positive 8? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that's going to help me determine what is going to be the sign of my answer. So since 20 is the furthest away from 0, your answer would be negative 12, because negative 20 would be further away from 0. So then for question 4, I forgot to put my degrees Celsius. So then for question 4 in Fairbanks, it's saying that it's negative, or well, 10 degrees colder, which would be adding negative 10. Oh, we got, wait, I need to erase it because I guess I moved too fast. Because it said negative 10 degrees colder than it is in Minneapolis. All right, so Minneapolis is 12 degrees Celsius, and it's saying that it's 10 degrees colder, which means that I'm adding a negative 10. Okay? I'm adding negative 10, which means the signs are the same, which means we will add like regular, so it will be negative 22 degrees Celsius. Okay? And then it says for number 5, write an equation that represents the relationship between the temperature in Houston and the temperature in Fairbanks. Okay, so the temperature in Houston is 8 degrees, and the temperature in Fairbanks is 22 degrees Celsius. Now they say write an equation, which means that they want us to have an answer. So 22 minus 8, which 20 minus 8 is 12. So therefore, if 22 is just 2 more, we can say that it's 14. So we could say that there is a 14 degrees Celsius. But notice that that 22 has the greatest absolute value, or is the furthest away from 0. Or in this case, it will have the longest length on, and the longest arrow length on the number line. So therefore, it'll be a negative 14 degrees Celsius. Okay. So that's all I have for today's lesson, guys. If you have any question on this lesson, you guys can always make sure you refer back to your manager's Google Meet session if you need any help. And that's all I have for today's lesson. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's lesson. Okay, so bye, guys.